The U.S. historically has clearly been the largest single contributor. It's a peculiar term to use, but anyway, the largest single responsible country in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. And since these gases remain in the atmosphere for a long time, that history matters. But as we look to the future, the U.S. has now basically peaked in its greenhouse gas emissions, and the issue is how much will we reduce those emissions and over what schedule. China, unfortunately, is nowhere near its peak. It is on a very steep upward curve. So while the focus has been on the U.S. historically, increasingly it's going to shift to China as accounting for a very large percentage of the increase in greenhouse gas emissions as we move forward. The whole world, moreover, is looking at the U.S.-China relationship to be a major factor in global responses to climate change, both in terms of mitigation and in terms of adaptation. And a fourth and final facet of this I just want to mention before turning to our speakers is that as you think about the U.S.-China relationship itself, both sides, I believe, now see the climate change issue as possibly an area in which we will develop new levels of mutual cooperation and in the process perhaps increase mutual strategic trust. But it's also an area that is so early on and still so much needs to be done that it's possible it will end up being the opposite, which is to say an area of an inability to really get our priorities lined up reasonably well together, and therefore an area that may produce increasing strategic distrust and therefore increasing obstacles to dealing with this issue overall.